Good afternoon all and welcome to Great Deltan. Today is a layout update for March and the progress I've been making, and then later on I will also talk through some of the new additions to the layout after a bit of spending on some new stock and traction. March has been quite a slow month, well it has been ever since I've been back from shutdown as I've had other things to prioritise, but nevertheless progress has been made on the layout and things are still moving forward. Today we'll be joined on the layout by the cross-country Voyager, the EWS Class 66 and the London Midland 153. So we'll start with the usual place over by the farm section. Again, this hasn't really made any progress of late. I'd still need to finish the plant crossing as it's looking a bit of a state at the minute. But again, it's not really made much progress. Round here, the first third is not noticeable, but I have actually started to weather the track. Eventually, all of the track I do want weathered on the layout, so this has been a good starting point for me. I've also done the branch line as well, that's all weathered. The way I've done it is I've used a brown acrylic paint, I've darkened it with some black to make a sort of sleeper grind colour, and then I've mixed it with with water at about a 50-50 ratio, and then just brushed it over in layers. Up towards the branch line station, I've used the humble black wash to go in the middle of the sleepers a bit more, because that's where diesels will be parked and you'd expect to have oil and fuel leaks. The only other little detail I have done is painted the buffer stops red, and that's really all for this first section. So moving around, you might recall from the previous running session video that I did have a big tunnel portal here, but what I've had to do as a last resort is to remove that and cut a big section away above the tunnel to get my arm in there so I can clean the track thoroughly, because trains were stopping and they weren't starting again. No matter how many times I ran the Gauge Master track cleaning car through it, just wasn't cleaning, so I've had to do that to get the abrasive rubber in and clean the track thoroughly. This is the abrasive rubber I use from Pecco. It is probably the best purchase I've ever made. It is really good and it lasts, well, I've had that and I've gone around the track numerous times and it has lasted so long and it's still cleaning the track very well, so a good purchase. These sets of dropper wires here are from the bay platforms. I just need to finish dropping those under the board and then soldering them to the bus wire here. So moving round, you'll notice that I've started ballasting, and you'll notice that the ballast is actually quite a bit lighter than what I've previously used. There's two reasons for this. I didn't quite like the granite sort of colour. I think it's not as realistic as the lighter stuff. And the second reason is it shows the weathering a lot better on the lighter stuff. As you'll see from around here, I've done a little test. So that's the old granite stuff with a bit of weathering, and then the lighter stuff, the track weathering comes out a lot better and it does stand out. So from that portal there all the way around to the station I'll be using lighter ballast. The only problem I will have is transitioning between the darker and the lighter stuff. It's not too bad in the tunnel because you can effectively say that's your shadow, whereas the branch line I'll have to transition it into the lighter stuff gradually, either by mixing it gradually or weathering the track so heavily you won't actually be able to tell the transition. So that's that. I've also laid a bit of wood at the back with some static grass just for the behind the retaining wall. I'm not sure if there's going to be too much more detail on there or whether it's just going to be a bit of overgrowth, but that's done now. And then I'll have to find a way to transition between that platform and down here eventually somehow. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So, moving around, and I've made a start on the town scene up here. I've drawn everything where it's all going to go, and I've laid out quite a few things. I will be doing a separate video for the town scene and how I do everything, but for now we've just got the terraced houses, T-junction there, and then we'll have a subway Costa, and then Aldi, which are hopefully stocked up with toilet roll. And then these two wooden buildings here One of them will be a screw fix, which is modelled from one of my local ones, and then the other one is a Halfords, so that will be low relief. They're both low relief, so that will be the Halfords, and that will be the end of the screw fix warehouse. So that's the town scene coming along. Moving further round, I've finished all the painting of the platforms now, so the platforms are virtually finished. The polyfiller has worked well, and I'm quite happy with the platforms, to be honest. We've got yellow, sorry not yellow, we have the white edges, and then the grey slabs, and then the tactile paving, and then just the centre, or the asphalt or concrete, whichever way you want to look at it. And then I've started ballasting just this bay platform. I will extend those two tracks because at the minute a class 350 stops about there, so if I extend that by about 2 inches, then hopefully it will just stop within the platform, and that way I can have two 350s parked next to each other. So the plan for the signal box and these points is demonstrated on this printout from Microsoft Office. I just made it on PowerPoint. It's a simple drawing, but it demonstrates what I'll put where. We'll have the signal box and then some paving next to the line side and trunking. I will be putting some point motors in. And then the walkway, I don't know if you can quite catch that, that's just a yellow railing over there. We'll go over the points into the platform. These will be the 3-aspect signals, and then we've got a load of catch pits, relay boxes. So it'd be nice to put all those track details in, and you can see how the road swings round up to the town scene. So all these track details will be going on before I get it ballasted. So, as promised, I will talk you through some of the new stock that I've purchased recently. March has been quite a month of spending, but a lot of the stuff that I've bought has been things that I've always wanted or that will look really good on a modern image layout. So I've took the plunge and bought quite a few things, but they're all with good reason. So first we have the Cross Country 170. I bought this from a man on Facebook. He's actually done a custom job on it, so he's fitted his own coupler to allow the loco to only need one decoder. The lights don't work at the minute, and the body, don't know if you can see that, is slightly higher off the chassis in the power car than it is in the dummy car. So maybe one time I'll look at trying to lower that. I think that's where the decoder's fitted. But he's not done a bad job of it, and it runs smoothly, so plus I've always wanted one, and they don't do a 3-car, but the 2-car is just as good. Next, EWS Class 60. Bought this from one of my mates who's going 00 gauge, so he sold me this for a good price. It's not been DCC fitted yet, and just needs a 6-pin decoder, so I'll get that done when I can get out and about again. But I think, like a lot of us, we're all limiting our travelling at the minute, but yeah, look forward to running that. The same man sold me these 6 EWS MGA open wagons. Eventually I will want a rake of 12 just for this layout, so I'm halfway there. 12 seems like quite a good length for this layout, and it's fairly realistic. So, plus these are weathered ever so slightly, so quite happy with those. Next is the Dapol Class 221 Voyager in cross country livery. This was bought DC, so I've had to fit 3 decoders into it, but again, it looks good on a modern image layout. Something I've always wanted as well. Even in my 00 gauge, I know in my 00 gauge days, I never had one of these. So yeah, I did want a 5-car, but I couldn't find one online, and this was going for a good price, so I bought it. Freight. I've extended my rake of container wagons to 10 now. Eventually I want 16, but for now 10 will do. It'd be nice if Batman could release some with more than just 3 variations of container, but we'll see how things go. Quite like the Asda one. And then on the same subject of freight is the Dapol Freightliner hoppers, which I have now extended my rake to my target of 20. So they're all there. They might be weathered at some point, but for now they're just good to run around as a nice long realistic sort of length freight train. The only problem I do have is they come uncoupled quite a lot because they're quite heavy, and then these latch couplings aren't the best. I would go fixed bar, but I don't always keep the stock on the layout, and I don't have a fiddle yard, so taking them off and on with fixed bar couplings might be a bit of a pain. So at the minute I'm just persevering and getting what I can out of them. And then finally, my happiest purchase of the lot is the Revolution Trains Pendolino. I've gone for the 9-car unit mainly because it will actually fit in my station, but I'm more than impressed with this model. It's got pickups on every coach which feed back to the motor, so if you do a dirty track in some places it's not going to stall. It's got 2 power cars and the coaches are nice and weighted, so very happy with this model. Directional lighting, and then in first class we've got the table lamps which all light up. So yeah, a very good model. It was DC again, I had to put 2 decoders in it, but it runs nicely, and it's probably one of the most recognisable modern image trains out there at the minute, although obviously Avanti West Coast and I run in the franchise, but this layout is set in the 10s to 20s era. So yeah, that's all the recent stock purchases. So that'll really be it for the layout update today. I will try and keep progressing forward, but spending will be put to a minimum as there's a lot of uncertainty with the economy and my own job security. I've got quite a few resources and things to get on with, so hopefully I'll be able to get back to you with the update in April. There might be another running session soon. I'm waiting for my Class 150 to be back from the model shop. It currently has a broken drive shaft, but once that's done I'll be doing a little video of it, doing the service from Great Deltan to Deltan Central. I'll leave you with a few shots of the layout, and then I'll hopefully see you soon. So stay safe and goodbye.